The 5 dimensions of meta leadership actually came after much discussion about what is leadership and how do you define it? How do you draw sort of a box around what leadership is?
So what kind of problem solving are you talking about?
It was important to create the 5 dimensions of meta leadership because we felt that people needed a language. What we found when we were working with different government agencies, that everyone speaks their own language. And worse than that, everyone speaks in acronyms. I mean, there are more initials in language today than there are words.
These people have to buy supplies.
The other thing was that people needed to understand that they had to have a problem-solving methodology if they're going to work together. So we gave them the language, then we built that into a problem-solving methodology, and we said, if you take this methodology, what it will allow you to do is look at every problem, which is always multidimensional in nature, and look at the various parts of it, look at the various components, look at who's involved in it, put them together, and come out with a reasoned solution.
You know, one of the questions that you often hear in the whole field of leadership and leadership development is, are you born a leader, or can you be created a leader? And the real answer, it's really a little bit of both. Certain people have the charisma, they have the self-poise to be a leader, especially to be a leader in a crisis. And those people yet still need to learn a lot. There's still tools that they can use to improve their capacity for leadership.
Leadership, if you take everything and put it together, most of really good leadership is really comprised in 5 dimensions. The first dimension is the person. In other words, who you are. What do you bring to the table? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And more importantly, do you know those strengths? And do you understand those strengths and weaknesses? And can you correct the weaknesses and can you build the strengths?
The second dimension of meta leadership is your ability to understand the situation that surrounds you, what's oftentimes called situational awareness. Understanding what's the problem that you're dealing with, who are the people that are being affected, how are they responding? And that second element of situational awareness is critical, especially because if you're meta leading through a crisis, the situation probably will change as time goes on. The third dimension of meta leadership is your ability to lead your silo.
In other words, you have people that work for you. So how do you get them to work their very best? What tools can I give you? What can I do that will help you do your job better? Because if you make them successful, they're going to make you successful.
The fourth dimension of meta leadership is your ability to lead up.
Everyone has a boss. If you're married, you may have 2 bosses, but everyone has a boss. And you have to sometimes educate that person and make them understand what you're trying to accomplish so your boss can make really good decisions. And the 5th dimension is, how do you lead across? How do you bring together all of the various components that are necessary to get the leadership job done and to accomplish what you're trying to do in each specific event? We have found that when you teach the 5 dimensions of meta leadership, you're trying to take people to a place where they can really understand what will they accomplish if they're able to apply the 5 dimensions of meta leadership. And we have found that if people can do this, and we can get people to work together, and we can get people to understand the 5 specific dimensions of meta leadership, they come out with 5 things. They come out with confidence. 1, I have confidence that I can handle the situation, I can make things work more efficiently. They also have the ability to instill hope in other people, because when people are in a disaster situation, they must be hopeful. Also, they create an understanding. They have a clear picture of what is happening, and they have a clear ability to articulate that to everyone else. Fourth one is they're able to move forward. There's a sense of progress. We're making progress, we're moving the needle, we're making this work much better. The 5th thing is influence, and that's the ability to influence other people across silos so we create resiliency in the entire system.
We have many crises in our lives, unfortunately. We can learn from all of them. So one of the outcomes that we hope and that we encourage in the summit is that people understand this process and they can practice it when they're driving, when they're dealing with their kids, so that in a major emergency, when they might be the crisis leader, they'll be able to use that in being able to meta lead other people.